Ghostly tales, yet mirrors of human life. Hey everyone! Welcome to Encountering Chinese, Ghostly Tales from Zhai. Today, I'm going to tell you a story called Yuda. In the city of Wuchang, there was a man named Yin Tu Nan who owned a vacant villa. One year, Yin Tu Nan rented the villa to a scholar. After renting out the villa, Yin Tu Nan did not inquire about it for 6 months. One day, as Yin Tu Nan passed by the villa's entrance, he happened to encounter the scholar. He saw that the scholar was very young, and both his attire and carriage were elegant and refined, displaying a graceful demeanor. Yin Tu Nan approached him and engaged in conversation, finding him to be gentle and cultivated, truly charming. Yin Tu Nan felt that this scholar seemed extraordinary, so he went home and told his wife about it. Upon hearing this, Mrs. Yin sent a maid to visit the scholar's home under the pretext of bringing gifts and to assess the situation. When the maid returned, she reported that the scholar's wife was a beauty, more exquisite and lovely than a fairy, and all the exotic flowers, rare stones, and exquisite garments and treasures in the house were things she had never seen or heard of before. Unable to determine what the scholar did for a living, Yin Tu Nan decided to personally deliver his calling card, hoping to pay a visit, but he coincidentally arrived when the scholar was out, and his attempt was unsuccessful. The next day, the scholar came to visit Yin Tu Nan's residence. It was then that Yin Tu Nan learned that the scholar's name was Yuda. As they conversed, Yin Tu Nan sought to inquire about Yuda's family situation in detail, but his responses were evasive and ambiguous. Despite Yin Tu Nan's repeated questioning, Yuda replied, "If you wish to associate with me, I do not unilaterally refuse. However, since you can see that I am neither a thief nor a fugitive, why must you press me to know my origins?" Feeling somewhat rude, Yin Tu Nan apologized to him. Afterwards, he instructed his servants to prepare a feast to entertain Yuda. The two of them enjoyed each other's company, laughing and talking happily. It was not until dusk that 2 Kunlun slaves arrived, leading horses and holding lanterns, to escort Yuda away. The next day, Yuda sent an invitation to Yin Tu Nan, inviting him to his home. Yin Tu Nan arrived at Yuda's house and observed the walls adorned with shiny wallpaper, making the interior as bright as a mirror. A golden lion-shaped incense burner emitted a unique fragrance. Inside, there was a jade vase with 2 phoenix tails and peacock feathers, each measuring about 2 feet long. There was also a crystal vase containing a rare pink flower, the name of which Yin Tu Nan didn't know. The flower, about 2 feet tall, draped over the tea table with sparse leaves and densely packed buds resembling folded butterfly wings after being moistened, while the flower's stem resembled butterfly antennae. Although there were only 8 dishes on the banquet table, they appeared exceptionally sumptuous and exquisite. After they sat down, Yuda instructed a servant to beat a drum to prompt the flower to bloom. As the drumbeat began, the flower in the crystal vase trembled as if about to bloom, and soon the butterfly-shaped flowers gradually opened up. When the drumbeat ceased, the butterfly-like flower petals fell, instantly transforming into a butterfly that landed on Yin Tu Nan's clothes. Yuda stood up with a smile, poured a large cup of wine for his guest, Yin Tu Nan, who drank the full cup of wine, and then the butterfly flew away. Moments later, the drumbeat resumed, and 2 butterflies landed on Yuda's hat. Yuda chuckled and said to Nan, "It seems I've lost this round and am willing to accept the punishment," as he drank 2 more cups of wine. After the drumbeat sounded 3 times, the flower petals scattered, covering the sleeves and lapels of both men. The servant who beat the drum came forward with a smile to count the petals, and it was determined that Nan should drink 9 cups of wine, while Yuda should drink 4 cups. By this time, Nan was slightly intoxicated and could only manage to drink 3 cups, so he hastily left the table. From then on, he regarded Yuda as an extraordinary person. However, Yuda was not fond of socializing. He often lived in seclusion, with little interaction with the people around him. On the other hand, Nan would always boast about his experience at Yuda's house to anyone who would listen, and those who heard about such extraordinary events were eager to befriend Yuda. As a result, high-ranking officials and distinguished guests would frequently visit Yuda's home. Yuda found this quite bothersome, and one day he bid farewell to Nan and moved out of the villa. After Yuda left, Nan entered the villa and found it empty, with the courtyard still meticulously clean and the candles neatly stacked under the stone steps. There were scattered fabrics and broken threads between the windows, as if someone had recently been there. Only a small white stone basin remained in the backyard, which could hold about a stone of grain. Nan took the basin back home and filled it with water to keep goldfish. A year later, the water in the white basin was still as clear as when it was first poured in. Later, due to the servants moving stones, the basin was accidentally shattered, but the water remained intact, not spilling out. At first glance, the stone basin appeared intact, but upon touching it, it felt hollow and soft, and the basin had vanished. When Nan reached his hand into the water, it would overflow as his hand entered and then reunite when he withdrew it. Even in winter, the water would not freeze. One night, the water suddenly crystallized, yet the fish continued to swim inside it. Nan, fearing that outsiders would learn about the water in his house, kept it locked away in a secret room and allowed only his sons-in-law and close relatives to see it. However, over time, news of this phenomenon spread, and many people requested to see it. Visitors crowded outside the family's gate. On the night of the 15th day of the first lunar month, the crystal abruptly turned back into clear water, leaving the ground damp, and the fish inside the crystal vanished. However, the remnants of the original white stone basin remained intact. One day, a Taoist priest visited and expressed interest in seeing the fragments of the white basin. Nan then took them out to show him, and the Taoist said, "This is a vessel used for storing water in the Dragon Palace." When Nan described the peculiar scene of the basin breaking without water spilling out, the priest said, "That's because this white basin has a soul." He urgently requested a fragment of the basin from Nan, who inquired about the purpose. The priest replied, "With these fragments, I can prepare medicines that bestow longevity when consumed." Nan gave the priest a piece, and the priest, deeply grateful, accepted it and departed with thanks. Alright. That's all for today's ghostly tale. Yuda. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Please also encourage everyone to comment and share more. We'll see you in the next episode.